Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. This is BRN AM for Thursday, February 1st, 2024. And our top story today, recreational boating continues to grow exponentially. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Doug Bird is with Getmyboat. Doug, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me. We appreciate the invite.
Yeah, I love talking boating, although I did take some Dramamine before this conversation. Let's talk about, I want to start off in this segment just talking about the growth of boating. And my understanding just from reading, your information and stats in general, this community, this world has really exploded in terms of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends. I think when I answer that question, it depends on where you're looking with boating. So through COVID, which obviously was an unfortunate period of time for everyone, boating saw a massive uplift in boat sales, boat clubs, and boat rentals, and general activity where people couldn't really travel. They chose to experience the water with friends and family. So it has seen incredible growth, and the best part of this is it's new boaters to the market. It's not the standard people buying the same boats in the same market. These were younger generation families that hadn't entered the market before are now active in boating, which is fantastic for the health of the industry.
Well, Doug, with growth, that's great for the industry, but there's also a safety element to this, and there's competency. The rules of engagement on a road or in the air are very different than boating. And have you seen, with more people coming in, more need for safety and rules, understanding the rules?
Absolutely. And I'll answer that in two parts. One with what we do on Getmyboat to ensure safety, but on the other side, just the industry as a whole. The one nice thing we are seeing is slowly but surely the requirement for boating licenses is increasing state by state. We certainly partner with a great partner, Boat Test 101, who implement the renter safety and boater safety testing. For example, in Florida, it's mandatory, but in many other locations, it's not. And it's not like driving a car. A car is a very, very linear process to drive. You can only go within the confines of a road. But with boating, you're working in a 3D environment. The weather is incredibly influential on safety. The people on your boat are influential on safety. You can, although we don't encourage it, people do drink whilst they're boating as well. We typically encourage, and the predominant number of boaters using Getmyboat have a captain. So that solves a lot of the problem of safety because they are experienced and licensed. And we encourage people to take their licenses. But it's always going to be a difficult industry to keep pushing safety until we get mandatory licenses in every state.
Yeah, and there's I think people have I think probably why people get into boating, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's the freedom of navigation. You mentioned drinking, but I'll just say the relaxation element of boating, going to Lake Havasu, or going between the United States and another traveling the Atlantic or the Pacific, right? There's that. I think people maybe have these different expectations. That probably plays into it, and people probably don't have a realistic view of what boating is. There's riggers out there, and as you said, if you don't do the right thing, not only could you hurt yourself, you could hurt your passengers, you could hurt people in other boats or even on land.
Absolutely. There are so many different elements that people, certainly new inexperienced boaters, don't realize. When you turn the wheel on a boat, it keeps going in a straight line. When you're docking, speed is so important. Other boaters, tide, I've mentioned weather already, but the fact that it's not an A to B journey, which typically when you're in a car, I'll use an example, or an RV, you know what's happening. You are traveling from A to B and stopping occasionally. With boating, people are anchored and relaxing. People are wakeboarding. People are going at speed. People are sailing. People are restricted by draft because of the nature of the water. So there are lots of every single boater is experiencing slightly different behavior, and you have to be very observational when you're on the water, and that's hard for new boaters to sort of get their head around.
Yeah, it's certainly not what I would picture, and I think there's as you said, that learning curve. Doug, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, how you can get involved in boating. We'll talk about Get My Boat and a lot more. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network. Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Doug Bird of Get My Boat. Doug, thanks so much for staying with us. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2 this morning.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
It's a fun conversation. So there's all these trials and tribulations that come with learning any skill, riding a bike, RVing, going for hiking, learning to camp, certainly with boating. What's the best way for somebody who's thinking about this as a vocation, as a hobby, as an activity, to get acclimated, learn the right way to boat? I would imagine that you have a process in place to bring people into the community.
Yes, and it depends what people are looking to achieve, really. If you are looking to be an owner or an operator on Get My Boat, that is one thing, and that is a process for sure. But if you are looking to get just into boating in general, as a vocation, as a hobby, it may be slightly different. It also depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you want to start sailing, for example, or if you want to get into wakeboarding or power boating, or just be able to safely take your boats out on a pontoon boat on Lake Travis or Lake Havasu, as you mentioned before. On the owner, sort of the owner rental operator side, which I can answer from Get My Boat standpoint, most people start off, you need a boat. If you're going to offer a rental service, you need to start with a good boat. And after that, we're really looking at people to get their boat inspected by the US Coast Guard. We're looking at them to have experience already so that they have at minimum what they call a 6-pack license, which allows you to take 6 passengers. Or if they're looking to do more, they would get a larger captain's license. With all of those, though, they require experience. So you cannot just sign up online and get a captain's license. They all require logged time on a boat. So anyone coming to Get My Boat to say, hey, I want to be a boat rental company, it's not that easy. certainly if you want to be on the boat yourself.
And you don't want to wind up like the SS Minnow. As you were talking, I'm thinking about, they went on a 3-hour tour. Next thing you know, they got 3 seasons of Gilligan's Island. But in all seriousness, given that people want to be on the water, there's probably a lot of interest from your customers that want to serve that market. And maybe if you're thinking about boating, the best way to experience boating is to go on a charter or to go on a rental with an experienced captain and learn from him or her on the right things to do. And I'm thinking about the show Below Deck. Have you ever watched the show Below Deck? I think it was on Bravo, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's learning from others before you decide to do it yourself. And so, Getmyboat would probably be a good option for that.
Yeah, it can be. And also a friend's boat. So yes, renting a boat is a great way, certainly with a licensed captain, because you have an opportunity to see the right way to do it, to ask questions if you then want to pursue it yourself. But also if you have friends or family that have a boat, just going out and experiencing and spending time and asking questions is really a great first step. You can go online and get a boater education certificate, which gives you enough to understand the basic safety elements of boating. But on top of that, experience is essential. So get your initial license and then slowly but surely learn the ropes. Ask lots of questions from other boaters, other experienced boaters, people you may know. And over time, you can then get to the point where you can take next level education and eventually lead to your 6-pack captain's license and further, if that's the route you want to take.
And are you seeing a lot of traffic to the Getmyboat app and to the Getmyboat site? I should have asked you this at the beginning of the segment, but in hindsight, retrospect, I would imagine that since you've launched the platform and these partnerships, you're seeing a lot of traction, because you wouldn't have done what you did if there wasn't a market and wasn't an interest.
Yes, absolutely. We've seen great interest. There's an element of on the rental side, the boating licenses. It is mandatory in some states, so we're obliged to offer that service and offer it at the most accessible price and frictionless experience to get a license. From the captain's standpoint, absolutely. So we have a partner, Mariner's Learning System, and they provide the ability for our owners to keep up to date with their captain's certificate, upgrade if they want to go from a small operator with limited passenger count. They can take their career to the next level. And for those that are entering the market and trying to become a Getmyboat partner, the ability to do so, whilst we may not publish their boat and them straight away, we can get them on the path to the point where they can. And that's really our goal. And the demand for this over the last 4 years has been significant.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about earlier, people want to be on the boat, on the road, not on the road. They want to be on the water. They want to experience it, much to your benefit, I'm sure, and to the benefit of your members. Doug, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, and all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, then visit our website. We're back again tomorrow with another edition of BRNAM. We'll have a very special guest, or I should say guest. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe. Keep on saving. And don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.